the same people telling you you have to go into war, the same people you're relying upon for information and intel about what's happening and what the causes of this war are and where it's going, are the same people who signed that letter that told you Hunter Biden's laptop was just Russian disinformation.
Okay,
So anybody who believed in Hunter Biden's laptop was just speaking and shilling for the Kremlin.
I know
Did they turn out right?
You were a Russian apologist. You were a Trump.
Yeah.
You were a Trump. Talking points. And let's just. Oh my goodness, where do we even start with that? It was at one point in time. Everyone will recall this because I've done a bunch of videos on it. I don't do the car vlogs anymore, but when I did, I might get back to them. We'll see. The Lancet, which was the medical journal, the most reputable medical journal in America, maybe even in the world, at one point in early pandemic, they had an open letter signed by hundreds of doctors standing in solidarity with their Chinese doctor brethren, speaking out against these damaging, hurtful, racist rumors, conspiracy theories that COVID might have originated in a lab, might have had some human, what do they call it? Gain of function manipulation. They were speaking out against this. It's misinformation, conspiracy theory that stigmatizes Chinese doctors, makes everyone's job harder to do. What a difference a year makes. About a year later, the Lancet itself ran an article that said the unnatural origins of COVID is a perfectly reasonable, perfectly plausible explanation for how it came to be. This is the Lancet. True to form, mutatis mutandis, open letters signed by the authorities at the time saying, conspiracy theory, you say this, you're doing harm to the entire community, and you're stigmatizing people. You had at the time, it was the guy, not Zuckerberg, but Twitter dude, Dorsey, saying, blocking this story, blocking the links, blocking the New York Post's Twitter feed because they were allegedly publishing misinformation. I don't remember what the justification was at the time. There was a 1-week standoff between the New York Post and Twitter, where Twitter said, you're not getting your channel, you're not getting your feedback, your handle back until you delete that tweet. And they said, we're not deleting that tweet because this story was not the product of hacked goods. It's not misinformation. It's true. And go on. Facebook, Twitter, social media in tandem blocked all coverage of the Hunter Biden laptop, which, Robert,
just coincidentally, everybody is connected to Ukrainian corruption. Just coincidentally.
And just coincidentally, during the election, prior to the election, I've missed a ton of super chats. I'm sorry, guys. They it's blocked, it's banned, people's handles are shut down. The New York Times, the same New York Times that came out and said Brian Sicknick, that officer in DC who dreamt of being a police officer until he was beaten to death by a crowd of angry Trump supporters. When he died of natural causes, there was no fire extinguisher, there was no nothing. That same New York Times comes out and says, this is Russian misinformation. Donna Brazil, I think Donna Brazil said something. I don't want to put words in her mouth. Intelligence committee dudes. I mean, I only know the Brenner guy and maybe Comey. 50 intelligence agency leaders say this is Russian misinformation. And how far beyond that? We're about a year. No, it's like 2 years now. It's all true. It's confirmed. It's verified. It is legitimized. Everything everyone told you, if it wasn't a lie, it was objectively false. A distinction without a difference, because this is coming from the people who made the decisions based on definitive information. Take it from there, Robert. I mean, who are these intelligence people still doubling down on the lie? Who are they, and what are they saying now to protect their own intelligence and their own integrity?
I mean, it's almost every top one. I mean, that's what should tell people. The same people you're right now saying, I believe everything they say about Russia, Ukraine, are the same people who told you that Hunter Biden's laptop was Russian disinformation. They almost all of the frankly, if you wanted a list of deep state roster, just go to the list of the people who signed that letter. And none of them have suffered any consequence whatsoever. In fact, almost all of them have got bonuses, got better jobs, better gigs, better things. I mean, so they understand that by lying in order to defeat Trump, in order to cover up for Biden corruption, they could help bring about a Russia-Ukraine war. That was one of their key objectives. And so the fact that someone can do it, as soon as you hear somebody say something is Russian disinformation, you should dig in twice because that probably means it's true. That's what's happened the last 5 years. It's extraordinary. It was the greatest intervention in an election in. Glenn Greenwald called it the greatest election intervention in American history. The biggest corruption of the press and covering up a major scandal that's ever occurred, because it was a combination of social media wouldn't let you share it, big media told you it was a lie, and the deep state came and signed a bunch of letters saying it was Russian. These are the experts everybody's trusting right now in the Russia-Ukraine war. And Biden cited them specifically in the debate. It's like all the intelligence people have already looked at this, and they've already concluded this is definitely false. I mean, they weren't even in a position to know. I mean, this is where there are methods you can use to figure out whether something is likely true or not likely true. You're not going to have perfection of information, but you can, have a better guess as to what is true or not. And there was no reason for any of these people to have any idea. These are the same people that have paranoid, delusional views about Russia in general that are meant to propagandize their own political agenda. And that's where the Biden story is unique, and it has this intersection of election corruption, press propaganda, deep state apparatus, and the current Russia-Ukraine war. It exposes all of it at different levels. And and Johnny Cash did a great version of his Man in Black, talks about God on our side.
Robert, so the question I have, I know it's your words that I've now made my own, but when that computer dude calls the FBI, it's not because there's emails about a big guy taking 10%. It's because there's very bad stuff on that computer.
Oh yeah, I'm sure that's the case. And that guy's life has been mostly ruined. He's tried to get legal relief. The courts won't let him. His business apparently is getting shut down. He's been harassed left and right. And so it just tells you, the guy that's being honest, the guy that does the right thing gets punished, while the criminals walk free. And it should raise, major eyebrows, and people should pay more attention to it. But, the Republicans in the House and the Senate are, when they can't connect the dots between this and the Russia-Ukraine conflict, are unlikely to be able to make much of it. And so, that was the genius of Clinton. He made sure all of his corruption was tied to the Bush family in different ways. And so that's why old Ken Starr couldn't dig deep, because he was eyeing that SCOTUS nomination. And so he had to go with Monica Lewinsky. He couldn't go with much, much deeper problems in Arkansas.
I feel
but by the way, Clinton and Bush are both for us getting involved in the Russia-Ukraine war too.
Oh, dude, well,
there's what reliable sources they are, along with Tony Blair.
There's that beautiful selfie of Bush, Clinton, and Obama. But Robert, actually, I want to ask you this, because I know what my answer is going to be for this. I didn't know that Alexander was disbarred. I mean, do you know this, Viva?
That's from over a decade ago. So he used to be a lawyer. He was a lawyer solicitor in the UK for a good period of time, and got into a problem with a case. Ultimately, I think he resigned actually ultimately from the bar. But that was what's interesting about that is this. Somehow that story regurgitated right in the middle of all this. So the Duran starts to get something that's a decade-long story, ran into trouble, dealt with it, so on and so forth. And suddenly it gets recirculating now. It's like people were attacking the Gonzalo Lira, the Coach Red Pill guy, claiming he wasn't really in Ukraine. I had followed him on and off for years because I like different people who live in different places in the world to give me different perspectives as best as possible. And he speaks English, so that helps. I was like, there's no doubt he lives in Ukraine. He didn't, but that's the kind of, the propaganda will be uber aggressive. Anybody who voices a dissident opinion is an evil agent against the state and the people. And what Zelensky is doing, one of our board members who's got his own webpage and Twitter feed, Election Wizard, who's actually helped me in the vaccine mandate lawsuits, because he's a lawyer or soon to be lawyer. He put out that he believed the State Department encouraged Zelensky to do what he did recently. So it's part of a consistent pattern of concentrating power in our corrupt institutions, and they're going to continue to attack anybody who voices a dissident opinion. Robert, I have to get in a long line for people who hate me. So just get in line.
Robert, you might have a superhuman thick skin to you, but one angle is Alexander had a nervous breakdown. I don't know about that 63 Rambler, but I'll tell you one thing.
Yeah, he went through a bunch of emotional stuff. There's issues, but again, this was many years ago.
No, but also I'll just say one thing. I now, in my own life experience, can see how the organizations get weaponized against you. It's very interesting that the ethics complaints, and I'm not speaking for myself necessarily, but other people, although I'm speaking at large, the ethics complaints sometimes have, they come from people who have never been clients. They come from people who might not like your content on social media. And I'm only paraphrasing from Ricada, but it might apply a little bit more broadly than Ricada, that you get ethics complaints from people who have never been clients or opposing parties or anyone involved with you, but specifically because they don't like something you said on social media. And when the bar society,
used to be an automatic dismissal by bar associations when they were being honorable. If it wasn't a client complaining or someone like a judge complaining, then they would dismiss it, get right out of the gate, because it's attempting to weaponize professional bar. And this is why I'm opposed to licensures. It gives a bunch of clerical bureaucrats power over the ability of people, not only for people to practice their chosen profession, but more importantly, for ordinary people who need those advocates to have access to the justice system. And it's unfortunate, but I didn't know that about Clarence Thomas.
Yeah, Clarence Thomas was admitted with flu-like symptoms. A bunch of people. Eric Hunley, hold on 1 second, people. Let me just get this chat out. Eric Hunley, Unstructured, just messaged me actually right at the start of this stream. No, but like anybody who lives through it, and you just notice that complaints and investigations and inspections and whatever, when they coincide with certain activities, and I'm like, Ricada's been vocal about it, but we've lived it. Like, we've seen this. We're lawyers and we know how it goes. You can start asking questions. If I find out that a lawyer has been disbarred, a flag might go up, but then another flag might say like, okay, let me slow that first flag down and just see maybe why. And typically, by the way, like, I don't know what Alexander's reputation was at the time. Typically, when someone gets disbarred, if it's justified, that lawyer has already had a reputation in the field. And everybody knew that lawyer, everybody knew that trustee, everybody knew that notary, stay the hell away from them, or everybody knew that criminal lawyer who gets shot up at a phone booth because they were walking a line to begin with. When it comes out of the blue, and you don't know if it came out of the blue, if you don't know anything, you could start asking some questions. But I didn't know that. And now I actually think I might have a little bit more respect for Alexander.
As Jerry Spence put it many years ago, the gentlemen of the bar protect the gentlemen of the bar. And what he meant by that was the top hat crowd. And I've defended a range of people in front of ethics boards, and overwhelmingly, it's dissident lawyers that get targeted. Again, over 2,000 prosecutors, when they did a survey in a study, over 2,000 prosecutors found by courts to have committed unethical, unprofessional conduct that impaired the rights of the innocent. Only 2 of them ever faced any disciplinary reaction. By contrast, if you are they've tried to put Clarence Darrow in prison 3 different times. Not a coincidence. If you are a lawyer who challenges the system, they will come after you. It's inevitable. That's why I tell lawyers that do it that, don't worry about it. What they're going to do, they're going to do. And so you can't control that, and you just march on anyway.